Greetings to all my jiu-jitsu nerds and welcome into another episode of On Borrowed Time with Craig Jones. On this episode, we'll be speaking to some of the team members on Team 10th Planet. We even tried to lock in an interview with Eddie Bravo at the 10th Planet headquarters in downtown LA, but with all the ICE deportation threats, we decided it's probably not the best place for my little Mexican self. So instead, we have Craig Jones break down the WNO 28 card that's happening Friday, June 13th, right here at the hangar in Costa Mesa. We'll see Mika Galvao and Jonathan Gracie in that main event. Could they be involved in CJI 2? Craig will also keep you guys up to date with the latest and greatest news in all things CJI 2.
All right, guys, we couldn't schedule a call with Alex Wendling for On Borrowed Time, so you're going to have to suffer me talking by myself. I've been busy out here in Europe. We've been doing seminars all around. We've been in Berlin, Dublin, Manchester, somewhere in the Netherlands I can't pronounce, Spain. Next stop, Budapest, Hungary. We've been raising money. I'm donating all the money towards my brothers in Ukraine. So that's why I've been basically been under the pump. Breaking point, you know what I mean? We've got these fucking weird Europeans asking me questions, sending me into a spiral. But what are we here for today? Recent CJI news. So we're able to secure maybe the best female prospect in the entire sport, Helena Craver. We came to an agreement, me and John Danaher, working together, brothers in arms again, and we're able to get Helena. We already had a team New Wave, now we've got Helena. She's the first member of the 145-pound women's division. We have signed 2 athletes. We'll be revealing the second athlete shortly. Super excited for Helena. She's a finisher. She gets a crack at the 100K. She would definitely be one of the biggest betting favorites for the bracket we've basically planned here. So guys, support those girls. Helena has an incredibly high submission rate. She hit that crazy calf slice I've never seen before on Elizabeth Clay. Get pumped. That 4-woman division is going to be exciting. But in other news, what's today's episode about? It's about Team 10th Planet, headed up by Eddie Bravo. So these boys have always supported the team events and they've always respected real teams. They ain't putting together no super team. They ain't doing no wild card draft. Tried and true, remaining with their original OG 10P team. Who do we have? Geo Martinez. Geo Martinez made a sacrifice. He was meant to fight Mikey Musumeci. They scrapped that shit and they put together a shitty reality TV show with a guy who's never had a no-gi match, Harrison Gabriel. No disrespect to you, I know you beat Baby Shark in the gi, but Geo and Mikey have bad blood. They would have made good television. So all the best for the UFC's grappling show. I really love the rule set and I really love the arena you put it in. And you've got 2 geniuses in charge. Stephen Tecci, a blue belt, Claudia Gadelia. The sport's in safe hands. But Geo Martinez, 66, been around forever, been fucking pumping tournaments forever, former breakdancer, pulls off some crazy shit. He's got some big wins. He's done some crazy shit in ADCC. He's the 66 formal representative of the 10th Planet team. Now we're moving up. Alan Sanchez, 77 kilos. Alan Sanchez, notorious for his skill set in EBI overtime. I would say in EBI overtime, he may be the best overtime grappler in the world, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have skill sets when he's not given a position. I've seen him hit some phenomenal guillotines, even guillotined John Combs. That's John Combs' specialty. That is a banger for 77. Alan Sanchez, a hard man to submit, obviously, with his specialist skill set in the EBI overtime. He's personally a guy I studied to try to improve my back escapes, my back retention, my armbar escapes, and my armbar retention. Now, PJ Barch, he's my brother. He's a brother that loves Mexico. We've been to Hong Kong together several hundred times. He is one of the best athletes in the sport. I think he beat Mika Galvao at the previous ADCC. PJ is going to be a powerhouse in this event. We've seen him in quintet style events before. He went the full 4 minutes with Nicky Rod. He held Nicky Rod off. He's not only dangerous, but he's also very hard to submit. That's a banger for 88. Ryan Aitken. Aitken did ADCC last year. He beat Pedro Mourinho. Much respect for that. Pedro beat me, the bastard, under WNO rules. Ryan Aitken was able to submit him at ADCC. Massive upset. Arguably one of the best 10th Planet representatives in the world. Means a lot to me that he would participate in this event. And then moving on up, Kyle Bain, former adult entertainment superstar, got a hog that should intimidate every other team. Sadly, I've seen it myself, but he is very, very dangerous, and he's a strong guy to uphold that heavyweight division. This is a banger of a team. This is a legacy team. We have Eddie Bravo in there. Again, respect through and through. Ben Eddie always criticized the original quintet events because they weren't real teams. They were super teams, and 10P had to face super teams. We're doing what you wanted, Ben Eddie, to the best of our ability. We've got 5 real teams in this. 10th Planet now gets to fight 5 real teams. Super psyched. You're going to hear some interviews from these guys today. Hopefully, as always, 10th Planet has some fucking interesting theories about everything. Hopefully we get down and dirty in the conspiracy route. Now, let's talk about what's coming up. So as you're well aware, Flow Grappling Partnership, Flow Grappling CEO, Flow Grappling do great events. I had to make them the enemy last year because they were fucking about. They were on the right path. I tell you, they're on the right path. They got Ben Kovacs heading up the Flow division. We've got Ricardo Amendolia, we've got Reed O'Connell, we've got the old school team, even Chase in there. I am pumped to see the direction WNO takes, and I'm super excited to see this next WNO event. First of all, they have Mika Galvão. Mika Galvão is one of the best prospects in the entire sport. He's one of the most dangerous guys in the entire sport. He hits these fucking arm bars we've never seen before, always in bangers of matches, and he just won the BJJ Stars event, the premium grappling event down there in Brazil, honoring our roots, headed up by Fipa. Sorry about that, I don't remember your name, brother, but we almost had that gi match. But any card Mika Galvão's on, in my opinion, is a card worth watching. I'm going to see some crazy armbar style action here. His opponent, Jonatas Gracie. Now, let me check the books on this, because Jonatas Gracie has beaten Charles Negromonte, Francisco Lo, Nicky Ryan, Levi, J-Rod, Jacob Couch, Kyle Chambers, and young, dangerous prospect, Jet Thompson. A lot of the times, Mika takes a match because of his skill and his fucking accomplishments. Everyone goes, it's a squash match. This is not a squash match. Jonatas Gracie kind of flies under the radar a little bit, but man, he is tough. He's beaten 3 of our B-team guys. Hate him for it, but what are we going to do? This is an interesting match. Jonatas Gracie's going to bring the pressure. Mika had a little bit of difficulty with Elijah Dorsey. That might be the blueprint Jonatas Gracie's going to look to attack Mika Galvão in this event. A lot of people are thinking it's a squash match. I think Jonatas Gracie's going to put up a hell of a fight. He's beaten very tough opponents. Now, the battle of the phenomenally handsome, aged, bald men. Sanchez Ribeiro, Kit Dale. Kit Dale, trained with him for years. Unfortunately, I've known him. He's been a friend of mine for years. This guy is making a bit of a resurgence. He was phenomenal as an Australian representative in the jiu-jitsu community as a purple belt. He beat guys like DJ Jackson and Philippe Penna when there was no jiu-jitsu in Australia. He fell off for an acting career. He's back to jiu-jitsu now. He's making a bit of a run for it in his later age. But I'll tell you what, this guy used to beat the shit out of me and Lachlan Giles on a daily basis back at Absolute MMA when we were down on Chapel Street. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great entertainer. He just had the CJI Aussie Trials run where he had to do the full 16-man tournament and then go into the elite round robin tournament. He looked phenomenal throughout. I thought really he deserved a spot on that CJI team, but obviously Lachlan Giles picked his boy Bilal. Bilal looked incredible out there, and he also picked Declan Moody. But Kit Dale, do not sleep on this man. Some of the best guard passing out there. A very unique, unorthodox style of wrestling. Great for me as a fan and a friend of Kit Dale to see him back out there getting these high-profile matches. Sanchez Ribeiro, I believe he's been competing at the highest level for 21 years. He's faced everyone. He beat me. I'll never forgive him for it. But Sanchez is brilliant to watch because he has a style that is effective at an older age. Don't want to bring the man down, but he is an elderly man in the professional jiu-jitsu sort of industry. I believe he's 44 years old. I thought he retired back in 2022. He came back, he just beat Boogeyman. Dominant performance against Boogeyman. Him versus Kit is a very interesting match, and as far as I know, Flow Grappling will be funding a hair transplant for the winner. Jealous of that. They never threw that in my contract, those pricks. Declan Moody, our B-team boy from our home city, Adelaide. He did not get a spot on the B-team super team for CJI. We gave it to Victor Hugo. Can you blame us? Victor Hugo is pound for pound one of the best guys in this sport. Obviously had a little bit of a hiccup against Luke Griffiths, but beaten Nicky Rod 4 times, hate to say it. So we gave Declan Moody's spot to Victor Hugo. As I said, as I was singing his praises, I was talking about how he replaced Declan Moody in our B team. Declan Moody, as he rightfully should, took offense to that. That motivated him. Maybe that's what we wanted. We wanted to see a motivated Declan Moody. He didn't complain. At least he didn't complain to me, but what he did was he went down on his own dime to the CJI Australia trials, decimated everyone, proved a point. He belongs in CJI. He belongs in a CJI team, and he'll be representing Team Australia. And I think Declan Moody is Australia's best active current athlete, and he's on par to be maybe the best Australian jiu-jitsu athlete in history. Do not sleep on him. Philippe Andrew. Philippe Andrew is one of the most active competitors out there. Gi no gi. His submission rate is through the roof. And let's not forget, he faced off against Nicky Rod at the inaugural CJI 1. Sadly, didn't win the $1 million. Took home $10,000. Sadly, a big difference in payday there. But this is an interesting match in my opinion. Philippe Andrew, brilliant, one of the best straight ankle locks in the game. Gi, no gi, Philippe Andrew reigns supreme in both those sports. So what do we have here? I still consider Declan Moody a prospect because although we've seen him at ADCC, we haven't seen him reach his potential in my opinion. Now he's facing Philippe Andrew, who's won everything. He's beaten so many good guys. So we're seeing one of the best active Brazilian competitors versus the best active Australian competitor. To see this match is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a great predictor of Declan Moody's success at CJI 2 with Team Australia. Team Australia actually proved to be the best misfits teams out there. Team Euro's pretty decent. Team Americas we haven't revealed yet, but Team Australia is going to be a powerhouse set up by Lachlan Giles. So WNO, this card's going to be sick. We got Lucas Barbosa, Kyle Chambers, and Victor Silverio. All three of these guys are great, exciting athletes. WNO is going to be a good fucking card. And obviously I'm a company man now as I run the company, but click the link below. If you want yourself a discounted annual subscription to Flow Grappling, click that link, support it. Obviously I'm taking a cut. That money's going to go directly to probably ruining my personal life and personal health, or I'm going to spend that money at the expense of someone else's life, such as my current new villains in the sport. But please, last year we hated Flow Grappling. This year I run Flow Grappling. We love it. Get back on the subs. I'm going to be producing some original content for these guys. And I promise you, I have some power in the matchmaking. So leave your comments below. Who do you want on WNO? We're going to make that shit happen. I'm going to make that shit happen, even if it comes out of the budget they gave me to sell these events. But guys, a lot happening right now. I'm at breaking point with these seminars, but this is the best I can give you. I couldn't get on the horn with Alex Wendling, but here you go. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the 10th Planet interviews.
It is your 2024 ADCC bronze medalist, aka the Butter Panther, PJ Barch. PJ, you got some training in this morning, loving the San Diego life. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Just been training a lot this past month or two. So not doing a lot of fun stuff, but it's been good.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you was at AIGA, and that'll be at the end of the month for you. So is that your main focus at the moment?
Yeah, currently, right? I think I'm definitely doing a little bit more focus onto the AIGA and their rule set and what I have to do for that and things like that. And then I'll take like a small like couple day break and get back to it for CJI right after.
And as someone who's competed in various different team formats, AIGA is going to be like dual. Everyone just does their weight division, but you've also experienced quintet. You were at quintet number 2. I kind of want to take it back to the very beginning because there's this vintage video of you out and you're just so excited to, one, be invited by Sakuraba. And then you shared that Sakuraba is actually part of the reason that you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's funny, you know that. I got into MMA before jiu-jitsu, and then, but even before that, I was into wrestling, and I thought that MMA was like a little bit, I don't know, like I wasn't too into it. I was a bit of a purist for wrestling this one like nerdy kid told me about Sakuraba, and he was like, dude, there's these Gracie guys from Brazil, and then there's like this Japanese guy that doesn't even do jiu-jitsu, and he just submits them all the time and stuff like that. And so like he started showing me all like Sakuraba's matches and things like that, and I was like, oh, this guy's sick. You know, you fast forward like quite a few years later, and I have like a match with him. You know, he's a little bit old now, but it was fun.
When they announced the America's Misfits team, I was like, oh my gosh, is there potential that we could see some 10th Planet people on that team? But you're 100% locked in with this 10th Planet squad.
Yeah, for the most part, if they need me and they want me to represent, I'm gonna do it. You know, although it hasn't always been my exact style, and you know what I mean, and different things like that. The amount of opportunity that I've gotten from Eddie and Boogie and Geo in this sport is undeniable, and you know, it's done a lot to build me and have, you know, everything that I have today. I don't think I would have stuck with it if I was just having to do like the gi and IBJJF circuits and things like that. You know, I think that like me joining 10th Planet and then Boogie putting me in a bunch of tournaments and Eddie letting me do like EBI things and stuff like that, you know, was like probably a bit more fun. I think I did that quintet too. It was probably like 3 or 4 years into jiu-jitsu training for me. You know, it's like it wasn't like a long time I was training before that. So I got a lot of opportunity very fast because of Eddie and Boogie.
When Craig first announced that he was going to be doing the quintet style format for CJI 2, there were some haters. Some people don't really appreciate that rule set, but what is it, in your opinion, that makes it so entertaining?
I haven't seen any of this hate. I don't know. Do they like points? Is that why?
I guess people were wondering why like mess with perfection, because the inaugural CJI was so fun with the under 80 kilogram division and that kind of bracket. So I guess switching to the team, people kind of look at jiu-jitsu like, does it have to be a team sport? Everyone's doing team stuff. But Craig, from his perspective, he's always thought that all the people that he brought to the quintet as audience members, they were enjoying it and had the best time. So I think that's part of his reasoning of like why the rest of the jiu-jitsu world should experience it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they just don't know. You know what I mean? I think that whatever Craig does is going to be probably good and fun. You know, I think that this is true. I think that probably a lot of these people are like a little bit newer to some things or haven't been around as much, and that was like a lot of fun for them. But I think that they're going to see that this format is a lot of fun too, you know.
And Dante Leon was recently announced that he is going to be part of it. Daisy Fresh was the mystery team announced. I know you guys have a little bit of history, so is that a potential matchup that you feel like you want back for your career?
Yeah, Dante's beat me more than I've beaten him for sure. And it's been quite a while since we've competed too, you know, like a couple of years or so. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better since then.
One other thing that you have to consider is the layout that you're going to be in, which is going to be the pit. For you guys at 10th Planet South Bay, was it you, PJ, that built that wall yourself, or did you hire someone to do it?
No, I didn't build the wall, man.
I feel like you might have been able to do it. Like I could totally see you guys there, like the 10th Planet South Bay, just knocking it out together.
I mean, look, I have a student. He's also like a construction guy. And he kept wanting to build this wall, this pit thing, you know, and kept asking me over and over again. And I was keen to have it, you know. I think it's a cool addition and people think it's cool. And it's added some flavor to the gym, you know, like as far as like, it's a cool feature. I don't use it a ton here and there, you know. I think prior to CJI, I'll use it a bit. When you're on your feet, you probably have to treat it a little bit more like MMA instead of, you know, where it's like a lot more like front and back like this in jiu-jitsu constantly, where you're like running people down like this and different things like that. You're probably going to have to like cut people off and try to win the center and try to push them towards the wall and stuff like that when you're wrestling, and not having your back up against the wall is a good idea. So this would probably be more important than me actually like spending a lot of time on the wall. It's a tough spot to get out of. It's worse than like the actual wall. Like a pit wall is pretty shit, man, because you're like, your feet are here, but your back's over here. Whereas like in MMA, you're like this and you can stand up still. But like when the wall is like this, you're over here. And so you have no balance under your feet. You basically like have to like almost like rearrange yourself and put your feet on the wall and like kick out. You know, I don't know the strategies yet, but like it's a tough spot to get off of, and it's not like a cage.
I talked to Ryan Aitken. He said that he's going to be visiting San Diego for a little bit. And that's kind of perfect because I feel like the majority of you guys are either in San Diego. I know Eddie's in LA. So talk a little bit about Ryan Aitken's game and how big of an impact you think he's going to be for Team 10th Planet.
Yeah, Ryan's a great addition, man. He's very submission oriented. I think he can sub a lot of guys. I think Ryan's a really good addition that we haven't had on our CJI team, and so is Alan Sanchez. Alan's going to be on our team too, and he wasn't on any previous team events with us.
And a little bit about Geo, who I'm interviewing after this as well.
Geo, I trained with Geo yesterday. He's so good. I mean, he can submit me, so he can definitely submit some other people. And we have Kyle Bame as well. And Kyle, I haven't trained with him in a while, but he's always been really good. I think the whole team is like, we can be easily overlooked because sometimes we don't have maybe the same pedigree for maybe things like these points-based tournaments and things like that. But most of the guys on the team are pretty submission orientated, and they're pretty good at staying safe in submissions and getting to submissions and stuff like that. And so our team is strong here, and I think that we could be overlooked because we don't have that same pedigree. Not everybody on the team has that same pedigree as some of the other teams or names and things like that. But I think that we are like a very submission orientated team, and we could do pretty good overall.
And when we think to the super fight that's going to be taking place, Craig Jones taking on Gable Steveson, if you were your younger purist wrestler self, what would be your take on this matchup?
Yeah, I'd probably hate it, to be honest. Because when I was like a wrestler and there was like these jiu-jitsu guys that wanted to wrestle with me or like do their jiu-jitsu with me, and they were like wrapping their legs around me and stuff like that, I was like a fish out of water, and I thought it was like not very fun. But I would be intrigued for sure. No, I mean, I would be intrigued. I think I'd be frustrated for the wrestler because they wouldn't be wrestling a ton. But I'm excited to see what happens. I have no idea. I didn't even think this was like a serious match, right? Is this serious?
A lot of people didn't think the Gabby Garcia match was real, and then that delivered times 10. And if 10 Planet was the team to go home with that $1 million, how is PJ Barch spending his share?
I don't know. I want to expand the gym. Could be something. I don't buy too much cool stuff. These headphones were my biggest purchase
Fancy.
in quite some time. I think I try to put a lot of my money back into investments and future earnings and things like that. And so I would probably do something boring with it or buy crypto. I guess that's a little bit less boring because that's a bit of gambling, right?
August 30th and 31st, we're going to be getting PJ Barch back in action because he was too cool for CJI 1, but we're very lucky to have you in CJI 2, BJ.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you, Alex.
Being joined now by the PGF and EBI absolute champ, it is Ryan Aitken, and he is going to be representing, of course, 10th Planet at CJI 2. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. Let me just zoom this out a tad.
Perfect. Now we got the perfect angle of Ryan Aitken, who is going to be taking on some of the best in this quintet times CJI hybrid format. And you are no stranger to team events. But when it comes to the rule set for CJI and having this quintet style effect with it, what do you think is going to be the biggest key to victory for 10th Planet?
Well, I mean, one thing Sean's always said is just take one fight at a time. So I don't really think about the next fight after that. I'm really just focused on getting that first one, winning that, whatever it takes. I hope all my teammates have the same attitude. I'm sure they will because Sean's going to be there. And I mean, we got a tough team, a lot of guys with high submission rates. And we not only does PJ Barch have a high submission rate, he's also got a great wrestling. So I'm, great counters and everything. So PJ Barch is going to hold 88 down pretty good. I think everyone's going to do great.
And we have Geo Martinez in there as well. I know you guys aren't all at the same 10th Planet. So what is it like for you guys trying to build that team element in the lead up to CJI 2?
We've all kind of pursued the same circuit of the EBI circuit, and I think that's a strength that we have is, again, that raises our chances of submitting our opponent, and it's harder to submit us even though we're not at the same gym. We all kind of have a style that puts submission forward, so that I feel like that's definitely our advantage. And yeah, it's gonna be tough to try to catch any of us. So everyone's gonna have to be trying to like play on the outside and trying to like just scrape by with some points and using wrestling and stuff like that. So and like PJ's gym, which I'm planning on going and training at in July, they've already got the wall. We're going to try to build one over here. So you know, we're not trying to have any like disadvantages when we go in there for sure.
You guys aren't going to try to build a wall. You're going to build that wall. I feel like you guys got it down, no?
PJ's gym has the wall. We're looking at getting one over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. So
That's definitely going to play a pretty big part, especially if there's been no experience with it beforehand. I know PJ has had that wall built out for quite a bit, so that's going to be great that you can get reps there. And then Geo is just in Oceanside, so he'll probably be able to come. And I think Kyle Bame is in San Diego for the most part.
yeah, Kyle Bame trains down there. I know he trains all over the place. You know, primarily, I think he's at Freaks. I know he also trains with like PJ. He also trains at Legion. You know, like he drops in everywhere. He's always getting good high level training with, you know, big names out there. San Diego is just such a hot spot. So several of our guys are down there all the time. So I'm sure they're going to be game.
And it was awesome to see the success that you had at PGF. And I remember Eddie Bravo was there, and now he is going to be the head coach for the CJI 2 team. Tell me about your relationship with you and Eddie.
Eddie's cool. He's funny. He was there at the PGF, you know. Like I remember there was some talk about like Eddie being my coach there and reffing and stuff, and that's not the case. Like, you know, Eddie's more cheers me on, you know, if anything. He's not my coach. He's not really giving me a lot of pointers over there, you know. Eddie likes to yell squeeze and a couple other things like pressure and stuff like that, but like when it comes to building strategy and stuff, Sean's who builds my strategy. Eddie's just a great guy to support over there and stuff like that. But yeah, me and Eddie always get on, man. Like we were talking a lot when we were at the PGF. You know, I'm not necessarily like Eddie's student. But you know, he's always been there to support at like a lot of these big events and stuff. You know, he was there at ADCC, he was there at Subversive, and then he was there at PGF as well. So you know, he's always around.
Do you think that leading into CJI 2, there are going to be people that you defeated at PGF that are looking at you with vengeance on their mind?
There's guys that I haven't fought in under 99, you know, like Luke Griffith, Nicky Rod. I believe Nicky Rod's doing under 99. And then there's I can't think of his name right now. The guy on from Europe team, which is under 99. Like there's a lot of guys under 99 that I've never had matches with before. So that's going to be exciting. If I was to do 88, then I believe I would be on trajectory to have another match with Chris Wojcik, maybe Paul and stuff like that. But they're doing 88.
It's random. Like you're going to potentially match up against them.
Okay, my bad. So yeah, okay, there's a possibility that I could fight those guys. I keep getting mixed up. I didn't know if it was like quintet rules or if it's like dual rules. I don't know. But
yeah, it's not dual rules, and it's even spicier because it's quintet. You're not going to know who's going to come out next. So let's just say you submit someone in your division. The next person that could come out, you won't have any idea until they're making the walk.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds fun. You know, I could fight somebody that's an ultra heavyweight. I could fight someone that's super low. I could fight somebody that I had a match with at PGF before now, I guess. So like that or I didn't have a match with, like what's his name? Marcin, Paul, Chris Wojcik. I don't know. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know?
And I remember when the finale of PGF was happening, I put on my Instagram story, who's your pick, Ryan Aitken or Chris Wojcik? And most of the votes went to you. One of the votes was from Chris Wojcik himself. So he's a fan of yours, but he could potentially be seeing you again. What did you think about the final that you had with him?
Chris is my buddy, man. Like, you know, we're always looking out for each other out there. And it's bittersweet to have another tough match against them in the finals, but it's also something that totally makes sense from a story perspective, because we've always been on a collision course. We're always every tournament, he does so well, and now he's looking for these top side entries into his leg locks, and by being on top, it allows him like extra room to do these rotating foot locks that he likes to do. So he can really get a catastrophic break on those. So it's been interesting to watch him kind of figure that out.
And when it comes to predictions, I know a lot of people are maybe looking at Atos or New Wave as a favorite, even though New Wave hasn't even announced who is on their roster yet. Do you feel like 10th Planet sometimes gets overlooked?
We got a pretty good shot. We've got several good standout guys, like someone that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about much is Alan Sanchez, and dude, he's like 4 years younger than me, so I don't even think he's like peaked yet. So I think 10th Planet has a very bright future, and something too that I've noticed that I thought was pretty cool was like we seem to have like this power of 10. I don't know if there's any 10s, like it's not like a 10th anniversary at the CJI, or it's not going to be the 10th day, I believe, or something. But I've definitely noticed that there's this power of 10 with 10th Planet. Like the 10th EBI Geo won, and then the 10th anniversary I won. So there seems to be like this 10 thing going on. And if like the number 10 pops up, I don't know, it could be game over for everybody else.
Definitely divine timing. And I feel like a lot of the energy that 10th Planet cultivates sometimes shows out in the best moments. And we've seen it even in the quintet formats as well. And 10th Planet was one of the first teams to lock in their team, even before some other announcements were made, like the wild card aspect. Two-part question. When the announcement was officially broken out, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, why isn't Keith Krikorian in? And I think a lot of people think Geo is deserving of that spot. So what was your takeaway from someone that was just watching all of the talk go down and how that decision was made?
Geo's always game to compete at the highest level. I think as long as he is and as long as he's training consistently, I mean, he fought hard at Aiga too, then he deserves the shot, And then Keith, being a little bit younger, obviously, like, he maybe Geo takes priority, with some of these. But Keith is game too. Keith has great wrestling, a great wrestling background. They're very different styles. So I think as far as like CJI, like I said, the style is somewhere in the middle for like between like EBI and ADCC. So I think with all that in mind, Geo might have the edge there as far as like getting that opportunity. But dude, Keith any day too would be a great choice as well.
A big emphasis for Craig is making jiu-jitsu entertaining. And I think that's why they're implementing this Royal Rumble aspect so that the audience can be a little bit more engaged. But from an athlete perspective, what would you say is the most important thing when trying to keep things entertaining?
There's a fine line of incorporating your emotions when you compete. Like the people that get the most emotional, that's going to be the most fun to watch. The people behind that might be like people that got hustle, like that when we're down to the wire, and that person with all the heart and the grit and the hustle. And that's usually been my thing, as I'm getting older. I don't know. I'm trying to retain that, but I felt like, my heart won me a lot of fights when I was in my 20s. I want to start relying on like emotes, like when you play games, you can like make your character do an emote. It's a form of communicating to like your opponent or to the crowd and stuff, like theater without like actually like, saying something, or without you're sending a point, like a message, a very visual message, So like, I don't know. I want to like start incorporating emotes, like doing the One Piece thing, the sumo squat, that's an emote, that. For example, if I could incorporate other emotes, maybe like mid match,
you like can learn how to do a backflip off of the pit.
Yeah. Let's not get injured doing that. I don't know. That's something I'm kind of like thinking of incorporating, because obviously the crowd can't hear you. So like if you're talking shit, they're not going to hear that.
I think there's a lot of ways to get creative. I'm excited to see how 10th Planet does it. And I thought your guys' logo for your guys' gear was so cool. So we cannot wait to see all the action going down August 30th and 31st. And see you there, Ryan. Keep executing those rear naked chokes, because we know that at one point you were like, I can't finish them. And now you're finishing them.
Oh, I'm getting way better. Yeah.
Currently being joined by Alan Sanchez. He's fighting out of 10th Planet San Jose and representing Team 10th Planet in a CJI 2. Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, super excited for CJI.
So tell me about your relationship with Eddie Bravo, because Team 10th Planet was one of the first teams that got their team officially announced and locked in even before the wildcard news was announced. And you got that spot for Eddie. So what is the relationship like between you guys?
Well, I first met Eddie like when I was a white belt. So I'm from like the Bay Area, right? Eddie teaches down in like Southern California. And for those who don't know, it's like about like 6-ish hours apart driving. When I was started, I would routinely go and compete in Southern California. Then obviously through, Eddie's from my lineage. So he would coach me like every now and then stuff and whatnot, like when I would go compete down there. And then just that kind of slowly trickled into like, once I was like a purple belt, I was doing 10 PQs all the time to try to qualify for like EBIs or CJJ Worlds. Wasn't always like doing that great at them at first. But I remember there was one where I went in like feeling pretty good and then I ended up losing. And then he gave me like a super fight on the CJJ Worlds. And so I felt like that was super cool from Eddie. And then from there, the next time I did the 10PQ, I was able to qualify for EBI, won the next one that was like more recent. And so I feel like that definitely helped a lot. I think for me getting picked for this team was because I won EBI in like December. And then I think Eddie sent in the roster in like January. So I think that definitely helped me out a lot. But yeah, I've known Eddie since I was like a white belt and I've been in the system like since day one. So yeah, super appreciative for Eddie and everything he's done for me.
Actually, my first event that I ever covered, it was Sin City Submission Series. And some of the 10 Planet names that were there, Keith Krikorian, PJ Barch, Alan Sanchez. So there's even like a clip of me being reported, be like, I think it's Alan Sanchez and PJ Barch in the finals. And at the time, I think it might have been like an $1,000 or something like that payday.
Something like that,
yeah. And so it was just a small event. So what is it like for you to be competing at events like that and then going to big stages like EBI, Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and in August, CJI 2?
It's super cool. It's I think whenever you want to like take the sport to a high level, you kind of have to start like you're like a little bit delusional, like you want to take it super far. And, at first you're just kind of competing in like high school gyms and stuff and you're like paying to compete, but you got to put your time in, so it's super nice. It feels very gratifying to like know that all those years that I just spent like, training when I didn't want to, competing, and that it's all kind of paying off. And I'm super excited that's something that's going to be so dope too. I think about CGI is like the crowd element and just how many people there's going to be. Like one of my like core memories was one time I did CJJ Worlds and it was like just in this like random spot, but it was like free for people to attend. And they had like, it was in Mexico and they had when Brandon Moreno was the champ. And so they let people come in and the crowd was just like super cool. And there was just so many people there. And I feel like it'll be like that, but like times like 100. So it's super cool. I'm stoked.
Has there been any plans to really get in with the whole 10th Planet team and kind of focus on what the game plan will be for August 30th and 31st?
Yeah, there is. So, there's 5 of us and like 3 of the 5 live down in like San Diego kind of area. And then there's me in the Bay Area and the Ryan Aitken in like Atlanta. And so, yeah, we've got some talks. We've already kind of like booked Airbnb and we're like planning on all meeting up in July for like a week and just kind of training with each other and going over everything. So yeah, we all know each other because I feel like 10th Planet just has like a camaraderie. So we've all hung out and like talked and all that. But yeah, we're gonna meet up and just train together.
And I know a lot of your experience comes from the Combat Jiu-Jitsu EBI background. When it comes to quintet, what is your experience and what is your biggest takeaways from watching 10th Planet compete in other quintet events?
Yeah, so my coach, Big Red, so Adam Saknoff, the one who gave me my black belt, he was part of like the first like either 2 or 3 like 10th Planet teams. He was part of the team that won Quintet 2 in Japan. I remember like watching it at like 2 a.m. So I've got that experience where he's my coach, and then also too in 10th Planet 2, we usually do like a meetup. Usually it's in like December, maybe it's changed, but where it's like they call like a team duel, which is basically it's a quintet sort of format. And I've taken part in that. Like it's usually brown belt and below. So before I got my black belt, I got to do one of those, and our team ended up taking second. And so you definitely like learn like the strategy and the tactics. And I'm just a fan of jiu-jitsu too. So every time the quintets happen, I'm always watching them and just kind of seeing how it works.
I like how Team 10 Planet is always one to be a true team. Like that was a big narrative when they were coming in against, Team Polaris, who was more of a super team. So what do you think about that? Like the integrity of 10 Planet team, it seems like it's always a theme when you guys go out to compete.
I think it's cool to have like, the teams where it's like kind of under the banner. Obviously in like jiu-jitsu, it's like, that's kind of like one of the big things is, there's your name. And then they also talk about like where you represent, you don't really see that in, it's not like when you're watching like a boxing match or an MMA match, they're not like announcing their name and then like where they train, they might talk about it, but they don't really announce it the same way they do in jiu-jitsu. So I think it's cool how in quintet, it's nice if like they come from like the same team. I'm also like a fan of like team sports. I also, I think it's pretty dope too when people kind of combine like and they make super teams and you kind of gather that together. I feel like that aspect of it is also kind of cool. But yeah, it is kind of sick, I think, when you have like, under the same affiliation, the same banner, like you all kind of know each other, you all kind of came up with each other in some degree.
We're going to ask a few silly questions and you're going to pick anyone on the CJI team for 10 Planet. Any 10 Planet members that fit the case. Are you ready?
Okay. Who
on Team 10 Planet is most likely to be losing sleep watching instructionals late at night?
I could see PJ. I feel like he's like I could see him being the one who watches the most instructionals of the team.
Who on Team 10 Planet is most likely to get stabbed?
To get stabbed?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Eddie. Yeah, maybe Eddie because he lives in downtown LA. I feel like it gets sketched down there for sure.
Who on Team 10 Planet is most likely to come to class stoned?
I'd probably say Kyle Bame. He like ate like a mushroom before he competed against Gordon. So I feel like that right there.
Who on Team 10th Planet is most likely to have mantras and positive affirmations before their competition?
Probably me.
What are some of them?
So there's one that I would do a lot when I was like coming up was this is from the Book of Five Rings, but it's like an elevated spirit is weak, a low spirit is weak. Don't let the enemy see your spirit. I used to say that to myself like a lot, just to like be in that zero zone. Don't let people read you. One that that I say a lot to myself is like, it's not about the money or the fame. It's for the love of the game. Because I feel like sometimes you get too caught up in like the prize and it's like, I'm doing this because I love it. So yeah, those are like a couple examples. I'm definitely a big mantra, positive affirmation guy for sure.
We love it. And we cannot wait until August 30th and 31st. Tickets live on CJI2.com. Thank you so much, Alan. We will see you in August.
Thank you. See you then.
Joining us now is Geo Martinez, and he has taken up that 66 kilogram spot for Team 10 Planet at CJI2. When you saw the inaugural CJI go down, I knew that you were probably very excited to hear that CJI2 would come back, and now you're officially a part of it. What was the reaction?
I'm a sucker for team tournaments. I love team tournaments. They give me hype more than any other type of tournaments because you go in there with your brothers, your friends, and it's a different kind of vibe for sure. So just for CJI to already be a different kind of vibe mixed with, like the quintet style format, it's cool. Something different, unique, exciting. So of course I was hyped up about it and excited to see if I was going to be a part of it or not.
And you mentioned that it's fun and even more intense sometimes going in with teammates, brothers. And for you, you've competed with your literal brother many times before, one of which was at Quintet 2 when we got one of the most iconic ways a quintet format could go down. Boogie goes out there, Haizam Rita has success, and then you immediately go out there and avenge your brother. What was the energy like in that moment?
That's what's cool about those type of events, like the quintet format. You have a lot of different connections with your teammates and all that comes out, all your emotions, your passion. It's my brother, and you have that special connection with your brother. I do, at least, and that when we compete together, that definitely comes out, and it's been like that since our battle days, from breakdancing, from b-boying. So it reminded me of a crew battle, when you battle with your crew against another crew. So that's essentially what it was. I'm battling with my crew, and you got to represent your crew and be down for your crew no matter what. The whole story behind it is cool, and you said it pretty well. But even before that, Richie had a match versus Sakuraba. Like he ended up having a match against Sakuraba as well, and like there's a story with that match too, and like there's a bunch of different connections in like these quintet formats that are epic in a weird way, that like whoever think Richie, like me and Richie looking up to all these legends in MMA like Sakuraba, and having Richie have a match against him in one of the quintets is like, and I love that about it. Just the stories that come out of it, it's always unique, and there's a bunch of us competing, so everybody has a unique story as well.
And you guys had Eddie Bravo there in support as well. Is it going to be quite surreal for you guys that you've experienced these team events before, but this time there is $1 million payday attached?
You know, who doesn't like money, right? Like we're lucky enough some of us are lucky enough to be able to train full time and make a living off of jiu-jitsu, but it's not easy. CJI, that's a big opportunity for anybody. We train super hard and try to spend our full time, our energy into this art. Sometimes a lot of people don't get anything in return, really. $1 million, like that was never something that was available in the past, and now it's real. Now it's realistic. It's not like just like, oh, there's gonna be $1 million grand prize tournaments. It's like, oh, it's really happening in jiu-jitsu. That makes everything more exciting, right? That makes you like, you're not just gonna kill yourself and go all out and put your body on the line for nothing. There's actually a grand prize that you can potentially win. Us grapplers, we love the experience. We love being part of a big event and getting the chance to compete against other awesome grapplers. That's a bonus on top of the money. That's another bonus. You know what I mean? There's all these things that are cool for us that makes it interesting to want to compete and be a part of it.
We get a lot of team events, and there's a lot of super teams that are built in different tournaments, but even in the original quintets, 10th Planet was always sticking to their 10th Planet team. And now there's an aspect of CJI 2 where a wild card could come into play. We also have the Misfits teams, which could end up taking, the Lone Rangers, but 10th Planet is still sticking with their team. So what does that say about the 10th Planet system and what Eddie is trying to do and stand for with this team?
That's the type of culture that Eddie Bravo built. You know what I mean? It's a different type of culture. I don't see a lot of organizations that have the culture the 10th Planet has. A lot of people still say, oh, like, 10 planet this and that. There's always going to be some kind of negative feedback and energy coming towards us, no matter what we do, no matter what we win. That's just 10 planet. We're different, and we're going to get different kind of energy. Sometimes it's positive energy, sometimes it's negative energy. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the community that we build ourselves up. When it comes down to those tournaments, that it's like team tournaments and we're allowed to just be our 10 planet team, then that's what we want to do. That's our first option, no matter what. Because it just feels better when you go out there with those people that are actually your brothers. People that people that you personally know on a deeper level, not just on a hey, we train together, we know each other, we're all connected, and we've seen each other grow. Some of these guys I'm competing with, I seen them come up from different levels, from white belts to where they're at now, which is super impressive. And who really knows who we are, like the lineup, all those guys that are competing respect us and they know how good we are. Most of those guys are in those tournaments. We're training with them. You know what I mean? We see these guys in open mats. They come to our gyms. We go to their gyms. We cross train a lot with all these guys, and we know what level we're in. We know what level they're in. We're gonna go in there trying to win this. We're not going there trying to have a decent performance or mediocre performance. We want to go out there and really. We're doing training camp together. We're building this team up, and we're really gonna go in there, as a squad, as a unit, ready to win. And if people want to underestimate us, that's just part of the 10 Planet history. People have been underestimating the 10 Planet name for a long time. People have been underestimating Eddie Bravo, you know what I mean, since he started. So it's kind of just like it trickled down to, like, kind of passed down to us. It's kind of, we carry that trauma from our past, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the name carries that energy, but also carries the energy of, like, we do the unexpected sometimes. We surprise people, and we bring a different type of energy that's exciting, and people want that. People want to feed off that energy, whether it's people want to go against it or people want to be a part of it. People want it there.
Yeah, definitely having that underdog energy is a narrative that has kind of been talked about within the CJI 2 teams. When it comes to who you guys have at 66, it is yourself, and then Alan Sanchez, PJ Barch, Ryan Aitken, and Kyle Bame. Tell me a little bit about this squad that Eddie has put together.
Alan is one of those guys that out of our whole team, I think he's probably the dark horse that people don't really know about Alan. But I mean, if you really think about it, he had some really big matches, competed against some of the best guys in the world already, won some big tournaments. And, he had some injuries that kind of set him back a little bit. So he kind of stayed, under the radar because of that. But once he got healthy and now he's healthy, he's better than ever, and he's young and he's hungry and he's ready to break out as a superstar and show that he's probably the top 10 planet guy or one of the top 10 planet guys. That's what he wants to represent, and he has all the tools to do it. He knows the leg game, he knows how to wrestle, he knows how to pass, he knows how to play guard. He's competed against Mika Gaval, who's number one, and has some good battles, and that was like early in his career, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people don't realize that Allen's like he's competed at the highest level with some of the best guys in the world and done really well. So even though he lost that match, he showed that he's right there with those guys. And we all know how high level Mika Gaval is. So it's like, Allen is like a guy that's in that level that is competing with those guys. And he's only getting better because he's young still too. So he's coming up, and I think these next couple years is gonna be a breakout years for him, and he's really gonna take out some high level names, and I'm excited to see it because I know what he's capable of doing. And then obviously PJ Barch is, he can be considered the best guy in the world. You know what I mean? Like one of the best guys in the world, in my opinion. He has everything. He's taken out the best guys already, beaten the best guys. Has a really controversial match against Mika Gaval. In my opinion, he passes guard, and it should have been game over, done deal. But it wasn't, and that's fine. PJ's that guy that's just gonna keep training, keep getting better, and has his own gym, doing jiu-jitsu, and kind of building that culture around his gym that he doesn't have to go and travel to train with the best guys. All the best guys are coming to his gym to train with him, so he's getting that look that honestly you're gonna get when you compete at the highest level with these guys. Like the best guys in the world live out here in San Diego, or they travel to San Diego to train with us and these guys, especially PJ. Like I'm saying, like I'm excited to see PJ. Just everyone's always excited to see PJ go out there and perform. So he's gonna be excited too. I know I talked to him. We've been hanging out and just talking about CJI, and he just just an event that he's pumped up and he's taking it very serious. We're gonna organize the camp and doing it at his gym. So things are rolling, and we're getting going. People don't realize how good Ryan is. He's like almost like a super nice, chill, happy guy, but when he's on the mats, he's like a machine. He's so good at listening and taking, like for example, Sean Applegate is his coach, and I just love seeing that exchange they have with each other when he's competing, and Sean is just giving him, little nuggets here and there, giving him advice as he goes, and he's coachable in a weird way that like he's like the perfect guy. Just like his body is super strong, flexible. He understands leg locks. He can understand wrestling. For example, ADCC last year, right? He had a match against who's number one, ranked number one guy at the time, and he hooked him. This guy Ryan came in as a backup, and proved to everybody that he took out one of the number one ranked guys pretty easy, pretty smooth because he got into his world. There's not a lot of big guys that could play the game that Ryan could play, and it's really impressive and cool to see. And he's also, breaking through. So he's gonna be a guy that a lot of people they already fear. They're gonna see him across the mat, and they know the people that know they know. Ryan's that guy, and they're gonna see him and be like, "Damn, I got Ryan across from me. Like, this guy's gonna be tough." Ryan's kind of like nerdy and kind of like happy go lucky, and I feel like Kyle Bame is like kind of mysterious and dark and scary, to a lot of people on the mats. To me, obviously, I know Kyle. He's also kind of nerdy and silly in a lot of ways. He's a serious dude that's kind of mysterious. You know what I mean? Doesn't really talk a lot. So it's exciting to see what level he's gonna take it to, and I want him to really show up and really become the big guy that we all feel, and we all seen. He wants to show and demonstrate that he's not just like another good big guy, he's the best big guy out there. So, he is our big guy going out there, and I'm super hyped because I've been training with him every day, and he's been getting better, faster, stronger, and somehow bigger. He's just like never stops. To me, I'm just like, fool, just always training. That's like his life. It's just he's all about it. He's all in. So I've been around. I guess you can say I'm older. I'm experienced. I've been in the game for a while. I beat in a lot of good guys. I have a lot of tough wars that I lost that I felt I could have won. I have some tough matches that, maybe I didn't perform the best. But I've been in the game and I'm capable of doing it all. You know what I mean? Like, I feel I'm still training at the highest level with these guys at the highest level. And they know what I'm capable of. There's not a lot of little guys in the world that can roll with anybody. You know what I mean? I'm a 135er, 145er, whatever that can compete with any weight class, anybody. And I do it all the time at my gym. But my training partners are all big guys. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Chambers, Kyle B, like my brother Richie, PJ. Like all these guys are not small grapplers. You know what I mean? Like I have big grapplers around me all the time. And I love that. I love being the little guy that goes up against big guys and does good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. It's not easy, but someone has to do it and represent for the little guys. And I feel like that's what jiu-jitsu is about, right? That's what jiu-jitsu represents. And I do feel good when people come up to me. They're like, man, that match versus Hasim at Quintet 2 got me into jiu-jitsu or motivated me and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that's awesome because that's what I want. That's why I do this for. That's why I train. That's why I compete and put myself out there and grind and, always never stop grinding, always training, always staying ready so I can compete at the highest level and have these big matches and motivate people, inspire people.
How do you think this Royal Rumble aspect of the quintet, not knowing who's going to come out next, is going to affect the entertainment factor?
I mentioned earlier, something that we loved about Sakuraba, that he was into like pro wrestling kind of gimmicks and vibe and energy of entertainment, like sports entertainment, I guess you can say. Coming from a dancing background and, loving battles with shows and performances. And I think what we do, it is art. I think what we do, it is, um, there's drama, right? So there's a story. It's like cinematic, the way it can be shot or visualized in many different ways. So I think is exciting. And I imagine almost like a pro wrestling cinematic movie. You know what I mean? Like, wait, who knows what's gonna happen type deal. Especially if you love jujitsu, if you love grappling, martial arts, it's gonna be, you know, like eye candy, right? You're gonna be seeing your favorite grapplers match up in different weight classes. It's kind of crazy the matches and matchups that can happen. I can't even start pretending I know who I'm gonna match up with so I can get ready for this guy or that guy or right? I don't know. I don't even know what the teams are. I don't even know what the misfit thing is. I don't even know, like there's a lot of unknown things that I don't even think Craig knows what the heck's going on. He's gonna be surprised. He's gonna surprise himself, like to me, the unknown is cool. Last year CJI, when I saw I was just sitting back, I was like, I want to be a part of that. Watching it from the crowd looked really cool. It was fun, exciting. The event's cool for the athletes, but it's still unpredictable. So there's a lot to it, you know what I mean? And that's exciting.
Yeah, last year we were on a mission to figure out who the best grapplers in the world were. And this time we want to answer whose is the best team. And 10 Planet has a really stacked roster to do it. So we cannot wait to see you in action, Geo. August 30th and 31st, that is Ultrazoid, and he is going to be representing Team 10 Planet. That's a wrap for this episode of On Borrowed Time with Craig Jones. If you haven't locked in your ticket yet, I'm gonna slap your ass. And if you haven't gotten VIP, I think you're gonna regret it because there's gonna be a lot of perks coming in that way. Go to CJI2.com. Hopefully we'll see you guys there, but if not, it's gonna be live and free on YouTube. Until then, I'm gonna be checking out this WNO 28 card. La 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 la, I love jiu-jitsu, la 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 la. Jiu-jitsu is fun, jiu-jitsu is cool.